Tick, tick, tick. A single clock echoes through an empty room. No voices, no movement, just time, doing what it always does, moving forward without permission, without pause, without mercy. What if the greatest financial threat you face is not a market crash, not inflation, not even a job loss, but the quiet, dangerous assumption that tomorrow will look exactly like today? Watch him, sharp suit, glass walls, moving fast, trading hours for a heavy paycheck, radiating certainty like a man who believes the machine will never stop. Most people live exactly like this. Not reckless, not careless, just dangerously comfortable. Welcome to Money Road. This is episode 7 of our series on the richest man in Babylon. And today, we are confronting the one financial mistake that does not announce itself until it is almost too late. The clock is still ticking. The question is, what are you building while it does? Look at that person on the screen. That could be you, that could be millions of people right now, moving fast, earning well, feeling untouchable. And that feeling, that quiet certainty that your energy will never run out, that your employer will always need you, that your body will always perform, that is not confidence. That is a trap, the psychological trap at the heart of this entire episode. When your calendar is full and your salary is climbing, your brain sends you a dangerous signal. It whispers that this is permanent. It tells you that because things are working today, they will keep working tomorrow. Busy city streets, glowing screens, crowded offices, they all reinforce the same illusion. Everyone around you is running. Everyone looks certain. But running fast is not the same as building something lasting. Most people are sprinting toward a finish line that keeps moving and building absolutely nothing that will outlast their physical prime. And then cutting through centuries of noise comes a single sentence. Ancient, precise, unforgiving in its clarity. Provide in advance for the needs of thy growing age and the protection of thy family. These are the words of Arkad, the richest man who ever walked the sun-scorched streets of Babylon. Not a motivational quote, not a financial tip passed between colleagues at lunch. This is the 6th cure of Babylon, a law forged not in theory, but in the accumulated wreckage of lives that ignored it and the enduring dignity of those who honored it. Let that sentence breathe for a moment. The visual shifts now, away from glass towers and glowing screens, toward ancient stone architecture, bathed in warm amber light, massive columns, silent courtyards, the weight of time made visible. This is where the real lesson begins. Now let us go deeper, because understanding the 6th cure requires confronting an uncomfortable truth about how most people relate to money. There is a critical difference between earning income and building a system that generates income without your constant presence. Most people have never stopped to recognize that gap, and that gap is where financial vulnerability lives. Think about what a career actually is. You show up, you perform, you get paid. The moment you stop showing up, whether by choice, by illness, by age, or by circumstance, the income stops with you. You are not building wealth. You are renting your time to someone else and calling it a career. That is the fundamental fragility the 6th cure of Babylon was designed to address. Empty desks, silent phones, closed office doors. These are not just images, they are warnings. When your labor is the only engine powering your financial life, you are one interruption away from silence. The world around you dissolves. Gone are the glass towers and glowing screens. What rises in their place is ancient Babylon, golden dust hanging in warm air, merchants crouched over scales weighing silver coins, and voices filling a sun-drenched courtyard with the noise of commerce and ambition. At the center of it all stands Arkad, not shouting, not performing, simply present, with the quiet authority of a man who has seen what money does to those who respect it and what it does to those who do not. Citizens have gathered. Some are young, some are weathered by decades of labor. All of them are hungry for the same thing, the secret that separates those who die with dignity from those who die with regret.
Arkad begins to speak. His voice is measured, deliberate.
He tells them about a man, an ordinary man. No inheritance, no title, no extraordinary talent. Just one quiet, disciplined decision made early that forever altered the destiny of every soul who would carry his bloodline forward. Arkad's voice carried no urgency as he told this story. It was the calm of a man who had seen time prove itself again and again. A simple man, not wealthy by birth, purchased a modest piece of land on the outskirts of Babylon. He paid what he could. He asked for no shortcuts. He did not build immediately. He did not chase a quick sale. He simply held it, tended to it lightly, and let time become his most powerful partner. Decades passed. Babylon breathed and expanded outward. Streets formed where there was once only dust. Markets rose where silence once lived. That quiet piece of land was now surrounded by commerce and life. Its value had multiplied beyond anything the man had imagined. The rent it generated each season covered his food, his shelter, and his dignity in old age. He never begged, he never borrowed. He simply waited, and the asset did the work. Arkad's voice grew quieter as he turned to a second man, a craftsman, gifted beyond measure. His hands could coax beauty from raw wood and cold stone. Commissions flooded in, celebrations followed every completed work. He spent generously, lived boldly, and believed deeply that his talent was an eternal shield. But time does not negotiate. Slowly, his hands began to tremble. His eyes lost their sharpness. The commissions thinned, then vanished entirely. No land waited patiently in his name. No savings compounded quietly in the background. No asset breathed income while he rested.
And so this celebrated master, and this man once applauded across all of Babylon, stood at the city gates, not with tools in hand, but with an outstretched palm, asking strangers for bread.
Arkad let that silence fill the courtyard. Then the question arrived, not gently, but deliberately. Are you building a shield right now, or are you simply praying for luck? That question hangs in the air like smoke. Are you building a shield, or are you praying for luck?
And here is the uncomfortable truth. Most people never answer it honestly.
Because when we step out of ancient Babylon and back into the present day, almost nothing has actually changed. The names are different. The currency is digital. The markets stretch across every continent simultaneously. But the human psychology underneath it all, and the quiet, dangerous belief that youth is permanent, that income is guaranteed, that tomorrow will look exactly like today, that remains completely identical. Look around you. People in their 30s and 40s, sharp and capable, still living paycheck to paycheck. Still assuming the machine will keep running simply because it has always run before. Still spending what they earn before they ever ask what they are building. This is not a judgment. This is a warning delivered with urgency from someone who has seen where that road ends. So what does ensuring a future income actually look like in 2026? It does not mean hiding cash beneath your floorboards. It does not mean waiting on a government pension that may arrive late, arrive reduced, or in some cases never arrive at all. That strategy belongs to a different era. And frankly, it never worked as well as people believed even then. What it means today is something far more powerful. It means constructing independent, automated cash flow systems. Structures engineered to generate income, whether you are awake or asleep, whether you are healthy or recovering, whether you are present in the room or completely absent from it. The city around us shifts. Glass towers rise, digital dashboards pulse with live data. High-end real estate gleams under morning light. This is the modern battlefield of wealth. And within it, there are three primary vehicles designed to protect and produce your future income. Let us break them down. The first vehicle is real estate. Not speculative flipping chasing quick returns, but strategic, income-generating property held deliberately over time. When you own rental property, something remarkable happens. Tenants pay down your mortgage while the asset quietly appreciates beneath you. Two streams of wealth building simultaneously, requiring nothing more than patience and discipline. We see residential buildings standing steady through economic seasons, commercial spaces humming with activity, property management systems running on automation. This is not passive luck, this is engineered income. Arkad's parable of the land was never really about ancient Babylon. It was about this exact principle, dressed in different clothing. The man who held his land outside the city walls did not work harder than the craftsman. He simply owned something that produced while he slept. 3,000 years later, the modern real estate investor collecting monthly rent checks is living that identical truth. Own something that produces. Then let time do what time does best. Amplify everything. Now we arrive at the second vehicle, the compounding dividend portfolio. Imagine owning a small piece of some of the most powerful businesses on earth, not working for them, owning them. And simply for being a shareholder, those businesses pay you regularly, quietly, automatically. This is the mechanics of dividend investing. You purchase shares, the company earns profits, a portion of those profits flows directly back to you. You reinvest those payments to purchase more shares. Those shares generate more dividends. And the cycle accelerates, slowly at first, then with breathtaking momentum. This is what financial mathematicians call the exponential curve. Patient capital compounding over decades produces results that feel almost impossible until you witness them firsthand. Look at the charts, watch the boardrooms, study the global markets. The scale of what becomes possible when money is deployed systematically and left undisturbed is staggering. This is not gambling. This is ownership. And ownership of land, of business, of productive assets has been the foundation of every lasting fortune built across all along of human history. The third vehicle is one Arkad could not have named, but would have immediately recognized: digital intellectual assets. In 2026, a well-structured online course, a licensing agreement, a royalty-generating piece of content, or a systematized digital business can produce income long after the initial work is complete. Think about what that means. These are assets that do not depreciate with your body. They do not weaken when you are tired. They do not call in sick. They do not require your physical presence to deliver value.
A course you build once can sell 10,000 times. A licensing deal you structure today can generate royalties for the next 20 years.
They scale without your direct labor. And this is precisely where the Babylonian principle lives. Build something that works for you, not something that only works when you do. That is not modern advice, that is ancient law wearing a digital face. Now, set aside every strategy, every vehicle, every ancient principle for just a moment.
Ask yourself one question, and answer it honestly.
If you disappeared tomorrow, not metaphorically, but literally, How long would your family survive on what you have built? Not on your salary, not on your next paycheck, on what you have actually constructed. For most people, that answer arrives like cold water. We see a family at a dinner table, a child bent over homework, a spouse quietly managing the household finances, trusting that the system holds. But here is the truth. The sixth cure of Babylon forces us to confront beast. If you are the single point of failure in your family's economy, you are not a provider. You are a risk. And that risk does not stay the same. It grows, it compounds quietly, invisibly. Every single year, you choose comfort over clarity, assumption over action. The clock is not waiting for you to feel ready. This is not about fear, it is about clarity, the kind of clarity that separates people who build lasting wealth from those who simply hope nothing goes wrong. So ask yourself honestly, what happens to your income if you cannot work for 6 months? Not a vacation, not a sabbatical, a forced stop. Illness, injury, circumstance beyond your control. What happens to your family's home if your business faces a lawsuit tomorrow? What happens to your children's education if the market corrects sharply the very year they need those funds? These are not worst-case fantasies invented to frighten you. These are statistical realities that millions of families face every single decade, on every continent, across every income level. The visual tone darkens here. Empty chairs at kitchen tables, closed storefronts, financial documents scattered across a floor. Because the question is not whether disruption will arrive. The question is whether you will be ready when it does. Now let us move from awareness into action. The first strategy is asset-backed insurance, and before you dismiss it as something your parents talked about, understand what it actually is. But this is not a fear product. This is a financial instrument designed to protect the compounding systems you have already built. Life insurance, when structured correctly, becomes a tax-advantaged vehicle that shields your family and can serve as collateral for future investments. Think of it as a financial fortress around everything you are building. There are two primary structures worth understanding. Term coverage provides immediate, affordable protection during your highest earning, highest risk years. Permanent structures, whole life or indexed universal life, serve a different purpose entirely. Long-term wealth transfer across generations. The goal is not to sell you a policy. The goal is to ensure that one unexpected event does not erase decades of disciplined compounding. Sitting across from a qualified financial advisor is not a luxury. It is a responsibility to everyone depending on you. The second strategy is one that far too many entrepreneurs overlook until it is too late. Separating business liability from personal wealth. Every day, hard-working business owners unknowingly place everything they have built on the line. Their home, their savings account, their children's education fund. All of it exposed to the unpredictable risks that come with running a business. A single lawsuit, a contract dispute, or an unexpected business failure can reach directly into your personal life and strip away decades of sacrifice. But here is what the ultra-wealthy understood long before most people even started their first business. Legal structuring is not a luxury. Holding companies, limited liability entities, and proper liability separation are foundational tools that every serious wealth builder must implement from the very beginning. These are not complicated concepts reserved for billionaires. They are accessible, practical protections available to anyone committed to building lasting wealth on Money Road. The third strategy is building positions in recession-proof compounding vehicles, assets that do not collapse when the broader economy contracts. History is unambiguous here. Certain asset classes, quality real estate, dividend-paying blue-chip equities, commodities, and inflation-linked instruments have consistently preserved and grown wealth through every major economic contraction of the last 100 years. Geographic diversification adds another layer of protection. When one economy stumbles, another is often climbing. The globally diversified investor is never fully exposed to a single nation's misfortune. But perhaps the most underestimated strategy is simply holding, refusing to react emotionally to short-term market noise when volatility arrives. The Babylonian principle is clear. The man who held his land through drought and political upheaval was the one collecting rent in his old age. He did not panic. He did not sell at the bottom. He trusted the asset, trusted time, and let patience do what intelligence alone never could. The modern investor who holds quality assets through recessions is the one who builds generational wealth. The light changes here, the weight lifts. We are no longer in the shadows of urgency. We are standing in something warmer, something earned. An elderly entrepreneur stands on a terrace. The coastal wind moves slowly around him. He is not checking his phone. He is not anxious. He has nothing left to prove and everything already in place. Below him, his children sit around a table, not grieving, not scrambling, but reviewing. Reviewing the trust he built across decades of quiet, disciplined decisions. This is the destination the sixth cure of Babylon was always pointing toward. Not just freedom for one man, not just comfort for one generation, but a structure so carefully constructed that it protects people who were not yet born when the first brick was laid. This is what Arkad meant. Not survival, not retirement, a dynasty, built in silence, revealed in time, and felt across generations that will never fully understand the sacrifice behind it. Here is the truth that this entire documentary has been building toward. The difference between the craftsman begging at the city gates and the landowner sitting in quiet dignity was not intelligence. It was not luck. It was not privilege or timing or some rare gift that only a few are born with. It was one decision made early and honored consistently across years and decades without exception. That is it. That is the whole distance between those two lives. Now the question turns to you. Where are you right now in your own story? Are you still in the early chapters, where that one decision carries its maximum possible weight, where compounding still has decades to work on your behalf? Or have you been waiting, quietly assuming there is always more time, always a better moment just ahead? There is no judgment here. Only a coach who sees exactly what you are capable of and refuses to let you walk away without knowing it. This is your moment. Not tomorrow, not when the conditions feel perfect, right now. Front-load the work today so that your future self does not have to beg for what your present self could have built. The craftsman waited. The landowner acted. History remembered only one of them with dignity. You are not watching this by accident. You are here because something inside you already knows that the window is open, and windows do not stay open forever. So here is what I need you to do right now. Drop a comment below. Tell me your single most important financial goal for the next 5 years. Write it down, say it out loud, because clarity of intention is the first act of wealth creation. Subscribe to Money Road. Turn on notifications, because episode 8 is coming. The final and most powerful cure from the richest man in Babylon. The clock ticks once, then silence.